She was a millionaire, young, powerful, and admired by everyone. But one rainy night, her luxury car broke down in the middle of nowhere. Then came a young black boy, with nothing but kindness in his eyes and grease on his hands. He didn't know this small act of helping her would change both their lives forever. Because sometimes, love doesn't arrive in fancy cars, it shows up with a spare tire and a pure heart. The highway outside Atlanta was almost empty that evening. The sun had begun to sink, painting the sky with streaks of orange and violet. The wind was soft, the world quiet, until a silver Mercedes rolled to a shaky stop on the side of the road. Inside sat Emily Dawson, a young woman whose face was often seen in magazines. She was a self-made millionaire, the owner of a fast-growing fashion brand. She had everything: money, fame, and power. But at that moment, all that meant nothing. Her car tire had burst. She tried to stay calm, but her phone battery was dying, and she couldn't get any signal. Each car that passed ignored her. And for the first time in years, Emily felt small and helpless. She stepped out of the car, her heels sinking into the dirt. The heat from the road brushed against her legs. She sighed, looking at the deflated tire like it had betrayed her. Then, from behind, a small old pickup truck slowed down. Its engine coughed as it stopped near her Mercedes. The door opened, and out stepped a young black boy, maybe 17 or 18. His clothes were worn out, and his shoes had holes in them. But there was something in his eyes: calmness, kindness, and quiet strength. "Ma'am, you okay?" he asked gently. Emily hesitated. She wasn't used to strangers. Especially not one stopping alone on a quiet road. "I'm fine. I just have a flat tire," she replied. The boy smiled, nodding. "I can help with that. Got a spare?" "Yeah, I think so, in the trunk." Without another word, he went to work. He lifted the car, loosened the bolts, and replaced the tire like he'd done it 1,000 times. Sweat glistened on his forehead, but his hands were steady. He didn't speak much, just worked quietly, focused. Emily watched him the whole time. He didn't seem nervous, even though her car probably cost more than everything he owned. And when he finished, he dusted off his hands and smiled again. "There you go, ma'am. You're good to go." Emily looked at him, surprised by how humble he was. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. He shook his head. "Nothing. You don't owe me anything. My name's Marcus." Emily blinked. "Marcus, thank you." He shrugged. "Just helping out someone who needed it." Before she could say more, Marcus walked back to his old truck. It rattled and smoked as he drove off, leaving Emily standing there in silence. She got into her car, heart beating fast, but not from fear. Something about that boy lingered in her thoughts. His calm smile. His polite voice. His eyes that carried both struggle and hope. As she drove away, she whispered to herself. "Marcus, who are you?" She didn't know it yet, but that small encounter, one flat tire, one kind act, was about to rewrite the story of both their lives. Because sometimes, fate doesn't come knocking. It comes driving down an empty road, and stops to lend you a hand. That night, Emily couldn't stop thinking about Marcus. She lay awake in her soft, king-sized bed, but her mind kept replaying that moment. His quiet confidence, his warm smile, and how he refused to take any money. She had met countless people in her career. Models, businessmen, celebrities, all polished, all pretending. But Marcus was different. He was real. The next morning, while sipping her coffee, she searched for something she hadn't felt in years: curiosity. Who was that boy? Where did he live? What kind of heart did he have to stop for a stranger without expecting anything in return? Her assistant entered the office with a stack of papers. But Emily wasn't paying attention. Her mind was on that quiet roadside and the boy who'd fixed her tire like it was no big deal. By noon, she made a decision. She canceled her meeting and drove her Mercedes back down that same road. Her employees would never understand. But she didn't care. About a mile past the gas station, she spotted a small auto shop, half-painted, half-broken. With a handwritten board that read, Marcus and Sons Auto Repair. Emily smiled softly. So this is where he works. She parked her car outside, stepped out, and walked in. The smell of engine oil and metal filled the air. Marcus was bent over a car, hands black with grease, humming a tune. He didn't notice her at first. "Hey, Marcus," she said with a grin. He looked up, startled. "Ma'am. You again?" His expression was half shocked, half confused. "I just wanted to thank you properly," she said. "You saved me last night." Marcus rubbed the back of his neck, shyly. "It wasn't a big deal. I'm just glad you got home safe." Emily laughed lightly. "Not a big deal. You fixed a tire faster than my mechanic could." He smiled, embarrassed. "Guess I've done it a few times." For a few seconds, neither spoke. Just silence, warm, comfortable silence. Emily looked around the shop. It was small but full of life. A radio played softly, and an old photo of Marcus with his mother sat on a dusty desk. She turned back to him and handed him a business card. "This is my office address," she said. "Come by sometime. I'd like to talk about something." Marcus looked at the card but didn't take it right away. "Ma'am, I don't think someone like me belongs in a place like yours." Emily smiled gently. "Marcus, you don't know that until you try." Then she placed the card on the counter and left before he could argue. As she drove away, Marcus stood frozen, staring at the card in his hand. He didn't understand why a millionaire woman would come all the way to thank him. He'd helped people before, nobody ever came back. That night, he told his mother what had happened. She smiled knowingly. "Some people see the world through money," she said. "But a few see hearts instead. Maybe she's one of those." Marcus lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Part of him wanted to go to that big fancy office. But another part of him was scared. What if he embarrassed him? But deep down, there was something stronger than fear, hope. And he couldn't deny the pull he felt toward the woman in the Mercedes. Emily Dawson wasn't just another rich lady. She was different, kind, curious, and real. And even though they came from two different worlds, fate had already started to weave their story together. A week passed. Marcus kept Emily's business card tucked safely inside his wallet. Every time he opened it to buy lunch or gas, his eyes caught the name. Emily Dawson, CEO, Dawson Design Group. He didn't know what to do with it. Part of him wanted to throw it away, to stop thinking about her. But another part wanted to see her again. One morning, his mom noticed him staring at the card during breakfast. "Go see her," she said softly. Marcus looked up. "You think I should?" His mom smiled. "The worst thing she can do is say no. But what if she's meant to change your life?" That was all he needed. That afternoon, he put on his cleanest shirt and the only pair of decent shoes he owned. Then, with his heart pounding, he took the bus to downtown Atlanta. The moment he stepped out, the city looked like another world. Tall glass buildings, luxury cars, people in suits talking into phones. He felt out of place, a mechanic's son among millionaires. When he reached Emily's office, his hands were shaking. He took a deep breath and pushed open the glass door. The receptionist looked at him suspiciously. "Can I help you?" Yeah. "I'm here to see Miss Dawson. She told me to come by." She raised an eyebrow but called upstairs anyway. Moments later, the elevator doors opened, and there she was. Emily walked out, smiling. Marcus. You actually came. Her voice carried warmth, like she had been waiting for this moment. Marcus nodded nervously. I wasn't sure if you meant it, ma'am. I always mean what I say, she replied with a grin. Come on, let's talk. She led him into her office, elegant, modern, full of plants and soft light. On the wall were photos of her company's fashion campaigns. Marcus tried not to stare, but he couldn't hide his amazement. Emily sat across from him and said, You told me you work at an auto shop, right? Yes, ma'am. Just helping my boss fix cars and saving up for college, someday. She smiled. You know, I admire that. Most people your age don't work that hard. Marcus shrugged. My mom says hard work's the only way out. Emily leaned forward. How would you like to work for me? Marcus blinked. What? For you? Yes. I need someone reliable. A driver. A personal assistant. Someone I can trust. I think that person might be you. Marcus was speechless. He looked down at his worn shoes. I don't think I belong here, Miss Dawson. She smiled kindly. Marcus, I didn't ask if you belonged. I asked if you were willing to try. For the first time in his life, someone believed in him, really believed. He nodded slowly. Okay. I'll try. From that day forward, Marcus entered a new world. He drove Emily to meetings, helped organize her schedules, and sometimes even carried shopping bags from photo shoots. The people around Emily gave him odd looks, some curious, some judgmental. But Emily didn't care. She treated him with the same respect she gave her top executives. Over time, Marcus began to open up. He cracked jokes, shared stories about his mom, and even made Emily laugh like a teenager. And every time she laughed, something in Marcus's chest stirred. He couldn't explain it, but he knew he wanted to protect that smile forever. Emily, too, began to notice something. Whenever Marcus was around, she felt lighter. He didn't treat her like the millionaire. He treated her like a person. And slowly, quietly, something beautiful began to grow between them. Something neither of them expected, but both secretly wanted. Months passed like a dream. Marcus settled into his new role with surprising ease. Every morning, he'd arrive early, wearing clean-pressed clothes Emily had quietly gifted him, and every evening, he'd drive her home through the golden city lights. The more time they spent together, the deeper their connection grew. What began as polite conversation slowly turned into laughter, shared secrets, and stolen glances. Emily loved his honesty. Marcus loved her kindness. And though they both knew their worlds were far apart, their hearts didn't seem to care. One afternoon, Emily took Marcus with her to a charity gala, an event filled with Atlanta's richest and most powerful people. She wanted him to see a different side of life, one he'd never been part of. As they entered the ballroom, heads turned. Whispers followed. People in elegant dresses and tuxedos glanced at Marcus like he didn't belong there. But Emily didn't flinch. She walked proudly beside him, introducing him as someone who works closely with me. Her tone made it clear, Marcus wasn't just an employee. Later that night, as the party lights shimmered, Emily found herself smiling more than usual. Marcus made her laugh, really laugh, something she hadn't done in years. But when she looked around, she noticed the stares. Two women nearby whispered behind champagne glasses. Why is she bringing him here? She could have anyone. Why him? Emily's smile faded, but Marcus noticed. Are they bothering you? He asked quietly. She shook her head, forcing a smile. No. I'm fine. But he could see through her. Later that night, after the event ended, Marcus stepped outside alone. He looked up at the stars and took a deep breath. For the first time, he felt the sting of class difference, that invisible wall between them and people like him. Emily came out moments later, her heels clicking softly against the pavement. She found him leaning on the car, lost in thought. "You okay?" she asked gently. Marcus smiled faintly. "You know, I'm starting to think I don't belong in your world." Emily frowned. "Don't say that." He looked at her, eyes honest, voice trembling. "Emily, people look at us like it's wrong. Like I'm some charity case you picked up." Her heart tightened. She stepped closer. "Marcus, I don't care what people think. You've worked harder than anyone I know. You belong anywhere you choose to be." For a moment, silence hung in the air. The city lights reflected in her eyes, and Marcus saw something there, something raw, something real. It wasn't pity. It was affection. "Emily," he said softly, "why did you really hire me?" She hesitated. "Because, you reminded me of who I used to be, brave, hopeful, kind." Then, after a long pause, she added in a whisper, "And maybe because I wanted to see you again." Marcus froze. His heart raced. He didn't know what to say. But deep down, he already knew, this was more than gratitude. The next few weeks changed everything. They grew even closer, sharing coffee breaks, late-night drives, and quiet dinners. Emily's smile returned. Marcus's confidence grew. But rumors began to spread. Social media posts. Office gossip. Emily Dawson's assistant, her new boyfriend. She's lost her mind. One evening, Emily's business partner confronted her. "Emily, this isn't good for your image. He's not from our world." She looked him dead in the eye and said, "Maybe that's exactly why I need him in mine. Because sometimes love doesn't ask for permission. It just happens, quietly, unexpectedly, and beautifully." That night, Marcus dropped her home as usual. Before she stepped out of the car, Emily turned to him and said softly, "Marcus, do you ever wish things were simpler?" He smiled. "All the time." Their eyes met, and in that gaze, a silent truth was shared. Love had already found them. And the world's judgment couldn't change that. Months turned into years. And in that time, everything changed. Marcus wasn't the same shy boy who'd once fixed a stranger's tire. He'd grown, in confidence, in dreams, and in purpose. And the woman who once saw him as a helper, now saw him as an equal. Emily had given Marcus a rare opportunity, not just a job, but a chance to dream bigger. She believed in him when nobody else did. She encouraged him to learn, to grow, and to imagine a life beyond survival. So when she offered to fund his education through her company's scholarship program, Marcus hesitated. "I can't let you do that for me," he said. But Emily smiled. "You're not letting me. You've earned it." And so, Marcus went back to school. He studied business management, balancing part-time work and classes. Emily stayed in touch, cheering for him at every step. During those years apart, their bond only grew stronger. They talked often, shared stories, and supported each other through challenges. Emily's company grew, but her heart felt empty whenever Marcus wasn't around. And Marcus, despite being surrounded by new faces and opportunities, could never forget the woman who changed his life. 3 years later, Marcus graduated with top honors. At his graduation ceremony, Emily sat in the front row, clapping with tears in her eyes. When he walked across the stage, she whispered to herself, "I knew you could do it." After the ceremony, Marcus walked straight toward her. He smiled, his voice trembling slightly. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." Emily shook her head. "You did this on your own, Marcus. I just reminded you who you were meant to be." But in that moment, as they stood together under the open sky, something deeper stirred between them, something that had always been there, waiting. A year later, Marcus opened his own auto repair franchise. But it wasn't like any other. It was modern, sleek, and designed to help underprivileged youth find jobs and learn trade skills. He named it Dawson and Miles Motors. The Dawson was for Emily. The Miles, for how far they had both come. At the grand opening, reporters crowded around Emily. "Is it true you helped him start this business?" one asked. Emily smiled proudly. "No, he built this himself. I just believed in him." And when Marcus took the stage to give his opening speech, he paused for a moment, scanning the crowd. Then his eyes found her, the woman who started it all. He said, "3 years ago, I was just a boy with grease on my hands and no plan for tomorrow. But one act of kindness, one moment of faith, changed everything. If you ever think small kindness doesn't matter, think again. Because that one moment led me here." The audience erupted in applause. Emily's eyes filled with tears, pride shining through every drop. After the event, when everyone had left, Marcus found Emily standing near his first car, the same Mercedes he once repaired. He smiled. "Guess things have come full circle, huh?" She laughed softly. "I suppose they have." There was a long pause. The air felt heavy with all the unspoken words between them. Finally, Marcus took a deep breath. "Emily. I never said it before because I didn't want to lose your respect. But the truth is, I love you." Emily looked at him, really looked. Her heart raced, but her voice was calm. "You know, Marcus. I think I fell in love with you the day you changed my tire." He smiled, eyes glistening. "Then I guess I was fixing more than a flat that day." She laughed through her tears. And under the fading sun, surrounded by the smell of oil, rubber, and dreams come true, Emily and Marcus finally shared the kiss fate had been waiting for. Their story wasn't about money, class, or background. It was about kindness, courage, and love that saw beyond the surface. Because sometimes, the smallest act, stopping to help a stranger, can lead you to the greatest love of your life.